just a little synopsis. If you guys think games are expensive now, you are dead wrong, my friends. You are dead wrong. The games are actually cheaper based on the time frame and inflation. If you also think about that into factor, because games were back then, they were easily like Nintendo. Since we talk about Pokemon Snap, Nintendo 64 games can go up to $70 easily. I've seen it. I bought it in my collection, so I know $70. Put that in the inflation calculator. How much does that cost now in 2021?
I think it's hundreds of dollars.
It's in the 100 range. And
Tim did that last time.
Yeah,
and he said
inflation is real. So if you guys think games are expensive now, the game prices pretty much stagnated over the span of what, since the NES. I'm just gonna put the NES as a reference because it's a Nintendo channel.
And now
So-
nowadays you could still find the games on sale. A lot of them on sale.
Yep.
AAA game, you could find a discount too.
Mhm.
Some games $20, $10. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like out of print games. I'm just talking about like, imagine if this was back in the 90s and you went to Toys R Us to buy a game or whatever, EB Games, Software, etc. I don't know, Circuit City, whatever you buy your games back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all those retailers. The game's average cost is like $50 to $60. That was priced back then when people made less money, and the power of $1 was worth more. Think about that. So if you're young, you don't understand the way of inflation. Just say the power of $1 is worth less now than it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. You can buy more with $1 than it is now. Now, what are you gonna buy with $1 compared to today? Back then, you could, just think of like if you were like I don't know, like if you're older than a boomer, just say you're older than a boomer, and you bought a hot dog. A hot dog back then was like what, 50 cents, 25 cents? How much is a hot dog now? Just using a basic comparison, it's like at least $2.50 or something like that. I'm just making up prices, but it's much more than it was when it was like 25 cents. There was hot dogs that cost a quarter back then. So that's just a little fact for a lot of gamers out there. I know game is expensive, but it's not expensive in a sense like I've seen how it is back then. Game prices stagnated. So you're getting a lot of value for what you're playing nowadays. So don't tell me that conversation. It is expensive. It is expensive, but it's not expensive in the perspective that I've been around. So,
Every time Danny sees someone complain that expensive or like, why is this much money? Then he's like, he just laugh. And
I laugh.
And then also laugh because a lot of these people that tweet it out or put in social media, they're adults. They are adults.
They're adults, but they're by number, but they're not really they haven't experienced the world yet. I'm just talking about like the 20-year-olds. If you're a 20-year-old, no offense to you guys. It's just that you guys haven't experienced everything a lot yet. I'm way older than 20. So I'm just I'm way older than 20. So I've seen it. I've seen that.
And then the next part that we laugh because they complain and then they'll get the game.
Yeah, they kind of.
And I'm like, wow, you just complain like so many tweets, and then later you play the game.
Yeah.
And then you play for so long, and then you say the game is great. I'm like, okay,
you got the bang for your buck right there. Just saying. Just saying. Oh boy. A lot of NES, Sega Genesis games were $59.99, $60 back then. Not much has changed base price wise. Yep. Base price is the same. Game development cost went up. That's a key thing. People don't know. We're just like we see on one side. I see on both sides. Developers they're struggling sometimes because they sell one game. They have to sell multiple copies to make up the cost of development more than it was back then, and it costs less to make the game back then.
A lot of time that it bothers Danny and I, it's just that people only think one side, only think on their perspective, but they don't look in the big picture. Look in the big picture. If you have no idea, just pick any game and then watch a documentary of the developer team making it. You have no idea how much hard work do you go through. Music, everything. Like, what is it? Title, the coverage. It could be every little thing, minor thing. It adds up a lot of work into the whole team. That's why even if they delay, or even if they even if they delay, we still like understand that process. Especially nowadays, this past 1 year, 2 year, a lot of people have been, I guess, complaining a lot. Like, why they don't make this? Why they don't have this? And I'm like, you know, everybody's going through the same thing too. So hence, that's why for every little game, even indie to AAA game, we do appreciate everything. They do work hard a lot. Some of them, they even like they have to sell their car, their house, just to put up the money out there. And it's a pretty much, sometimes it's a gamble. You don't know if the game's gonna sell out well or not. Sometime, right?
You know, obviously, different parts. Everyone is in different situations. If you're like a college student, or you don't, I told you, even before we started the stream, I said I didn't have money to even do the kiosk in Game Blockbuster to print out pictures and stuff. You do it within your means, of course. But I'm just making a statement where I see so many people talking about prices of games so expensive. It's not expensive. It really is. For like, just think of when people went to theaters. That's like funny when I said that. Because how much money you spend? I always use that. How much money you spend on going to the movies for like an hour and a half, 2 hours? Hey, even if it's a Lord of the Rings flick, which is hours, it's still, you know, it's like 3-4 hours. But you're spending, like, if you went with a family of, you know, 3 or 4, whatever the case is, you just multiply that price. You see how much, not counting food, okay? So if you guys are going in there, just eating, sitting there, just buying base price tickets, you only get entertainment for like 2-3 hours, and you spend like a good, I don't know, $50-$60 versus a game. You play hours on end. Like if you play an RPG, you know how much you're gonna get out of that. Any game that you put into, like Evelyn played like Splatoon 2, she put I don't know how many hours into it. You get the idea. Yeah.